Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome to the New World Order Showcase podcast. Today we have with us Frances Day. Frances is an energy healer and an intuitive soul coach. She's dedicated to empowering women in business to see that everything is a direct reflection of their own self-worth. Welcome to the show, Frances. I'm really glad that you decided to join us today.
Thank you. I feel really honoured to be here. It's lovely. Over the pond.
Exactly. It's much later where you are than where I am. So tell us a little bit about energy healing and how you got into this. And I should also mention you're the author of Diving Deep to Climb High, which sounds like a fascinating book. And I think it's part of your story, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. Yeah. So my background is marketing, and from a logical perspective, I've run a design agency and all that sort of stuff in my past life. And I got into energy healing probably about 5 years ago. I've always been able to do it. However, learning the theory so that you can help other people with it is a whole different ballgame. And I decided to write the book. There was a very specific point. I was sitting on a sunbed in Ios, a Greek island, the week that my daughter was due to get married, very bored, and I decided to start writing the first chapter. And I didn't stop writing it. It took me a whole 9 months to birth the book. And it was during the process of writing the book that my whole purpose came out, and it was about self-worth. So the book's it's part autobiography and part theory, because I'm clairsentient, which means that I feel energy, and I have spirit guides. Some of this will be a bit left field for people who are not into the whole energy and spirit world. And I had a real sense of, this book is not just about you. It's not just about your story. I was told by a shaman that thousands of women were standing behind me waiting for me to write the book. I'm like, goodness, no pressure.
Right.
Yeah. So I started writing it, and then I've added some theoretical bits into the book to help you with journaling and help the reader to understand what's sitting there beneath the surface for her too. So the Diving Deep to Climb High reference, and if you ask me now where that title came from, I actually don't remember. But I had 2 or 3 titles that I was playing around with, and I put them out on my social media to get some feedback from women, and they liked that the best. So it was, because it does what it says on the tin. It's about really going beneath the surface to discover what's sitting there so that we can clear it, let it go, and almost start with a blank piece of paper and go, right. Bit like, 2024, brand new start to the whole year. Yeah.
And this year is going to be so amazing. It's just like
Mm.
everybody can feel it.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's talk about energy for a minute and how you would describe it. Like, I know what it is, but other people
Yeah.
might not. So
So,
what's your understanding?
yeah, we are all energy. We are made up of energetic particles, and we vibrate at certain frequencies. And people who are in the energy world will have heard of the energetic scale. It was created by Esther and Jerry Hicks. And we are all emotions. Energy, emotions are energy in motion. So when we're vibrating at a lower frequency, so by that I mean a lower energetic scale, like lack, scarcity, fear, we attract similar things into our lives from an energetic perspective. So it's our job as humans to raise our energetic frequency to beautiful frequencies like love, hope, joy, abundance. Because when we feel great, it's always about the way that we feel. So when we feel great, then we attract more optimal opportunities into our lives. So yeah, if there was, I'll save that bit. But yeah, sometimes we can feel good, but there can be things sitting beneath the surface that that might be holding us back a little bit. So with my energy work, it's a slightly different modality in that it's called soul psychology. So when I work one-to-one with clients, I don't need them to tell me what's going on because I can feel it. I use that clairsentient skill to feel where the energy's blocked in their body. So as I'm working with them one-to-one on Zoom, I might start coughing, or I've got a sore throat, or I can feel it in a particular energy center. And that gives me real indications of how old they are when they took the blocked energy on, who gave it to them. And what we do is we release it and give it back to the person that gave it to them with love, so that it heals the DNA lineage too. It's beautiful.
Very interesting. So how does that look when you're doing it?
How does it look? You can't see it.
I recognize that, but when
Yeah.
somebody's working with you, how would they experience this with you?
Yeah, well, let me give you an example with a lady that I worked with just before Christmas. I'm doing another session with her on Thursday.
Mhm.
So she was a bit of a skeptic because, of course, it's a very intangible thing, isn't it? So I said to her, why don't we just do one session so that you can feel the difference? And then you can make a decision about whether you want to do another session or not. And she had a lot of what I call wounded child story. And that was affecting the way that she was making decisions about everything, because everything is energy. And the way that you do one thing will be the way that you do another thing. So the way that it looks is, we do it on Zoom. I have two screens in front of me. I'm looking and feeling into the energy of the person while we're, like you and I are doing here. And then another screen, I've got lots of notes and lots of tools and lots of healing modules, if you like. And I use my energy to feel into that. And together what I do is pull a story together. So I'm connecting with your soul, and we're writing a story based on the healing tools I use a blend of crystals, herbs, symbols, and rays. And each ray is connected to an archangel. And individually, all those healing tools are very powerful. But what we do is blend them together energetically, and I use a process to connect, to send those healing energies through the ether into your energy system. So what happened with this lady was she'd got some physical symptoms that she'd had checked out at the doctors. She'd got an ache in the base of her spine that she wasn't able to get rid of. She checked it out with the doctor. There was nothing wrong with her from a medical perspective. And of course, I never guarantee that I would be able to, and obviously I need to check and make sure that they are okay first before we go through that energetic process. And I knew that we'd done a really powerful process. I can tell you, when I meet with like a commitment, can't get my words out, a no obligatory session, my guides tell me whether I can help you or not. So I knew that we were going to have an amazing session, and the energy in the room was off the scale. Like, the guides were all rolling their sleeves up, right, come on, let's get started, let's do this work. And I always connect with the client the day after to see how they're feeling. What happens energetically is that they'll usually either feel light, like they've offloaded this great big rucksack from their shoulders, or they're exhausted and they start yawning and they just want to go to bed afterwards. And that's an indication that the energy is recalibrating in their system. So I contacted her the day after and I said, how are you feeling? She's like, I can't tell you how I'm feeling. She said, I feel amazing. The ache and the pain in my back has gone. I feel lighter. I feel more confident. So yeah, it's very difficult, isn't it, to articulate energy work because of that intangibility. But it only ever gives you what you need, not what you want.
Yeah. And because we all create our own realities, the energy that we put out is like, the Matrix is a really bad example, but in some ways it's a real example of the realities that we do create and how quickly we can change them. And the energies are like those little lines that go down, the coding into what we're going to see, how it's going to show up as reality for us, which is, again, hard to articulate, but it is how reality works. Like, we can both be doing the same, having the same experience, but our realities of the experience are totally different. Even like you and I, it's 8 o'clock at night where you are. Well, it's only like 1 o'clock in the afternoon where I am. That's just the beginning of the reality differences. It's a shared experience. We're both on Zoom here together. We're both talking about the same subject, and yet we'll both walk away from this experience with different ideas about the experience, and it will have appeared differently for us. Does that make sense?
That's right. Yeah, because we have that filter, don't we? We're all seeing it through a slightly different filter. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed. And then when it comes to the energy aspect of it, it seems like energy is created around emotions, and the stories that we tell ourselves also play into what emotions we're going to be experiencing. And we really do experience emotions, though we don't have to. We get to choose how we are going to interact with emotions that show up for us.
Yeah. there's that story that Tony Robbins tells, isn't there, about the twin boys, where their dad's a abusive alcoholic, and one boy goes off and says, I'm never going to be like my father. And he has this amazing relationship with a girl, and they have beautiful boys, and he becomes a successful business owner. And the other one exactly replicates his father. And I think that that is a great example of how, you know, twin boys can have exactly the same experience and yet go off into the world with completely different life experiences because of that experience that they had with their father.
Right. So the only variable is the reality that they created around, and the stories that they told themselves around the situation that happened.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Very powerful. Very
Mm.
powerful. So it took you 9 months to write this book.
Yes, that's right. To give birth to my baby.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. I like that it took 9 months.
Yeah.
It's the whole life process.
It's a very emotional process because it's your autobiography. And so it's not just about putting words on a page, which is hard enough, writing a book. You're very emotionally attached to these stories, and what's people that are close to me going to think of that? And, you know, there was a whole process involved in what do I put in? What do I leave out? What is going to be okay for the reader to hear? So there were so many layers to the book too, and probably 25 edits before it was okay. And it's still not perfect. You read it over and over again, and there are, you know, I found a typo, or it's like but you know, it's yeah. It's
And it
been, it was
grows.
big learning curve. But it helped me. It was very cathartic. It really helped me get all that stuff out.
Mhm.
Reliving the experiences. If anybody's thinking about writing their autobiography, the one bit of advice I would give about writing their autobiography is write it. Even if, and don't think about the end, think about the process, because you could, even if you decide not to publish it at the end, you will benefit so much from doing it. Yeah.
It's like journaling on steroids.
It really is. It really is. Yeah.
And going
It
back
helped.
through and
Yeah.
re-experiencing these things over and over again, it allows you to look at it and to feel it from different perspectives, which sounds weird because it's your story and you should always be looking at it through the same perspective, maybe some people might think, but it really is, you look at it through a different lens every time you look at it. It's like, this is how I felt when I read it or wrote it. And, you know, a week later and you read it again, you're like, oh, that's not exactly how I think I want to remember it. Or
Yeah.
other details will become more obvious to you, or kind of like come to the forefront of your memory, and you'll want to share those too.
Yeah. One of the other sort of outcomes from writing the book was I developed a course on the back of it called Your Self-Worth is Your Self-Worth. And that's where the title of this talk comes about, really, because I realized in the process of writing the book that actually it's always an inside job. A bit like what we were talking about, in that when you go beneath the surface and clear out all that stuff that's keeping you playing small, then your business is a direct reflection of what's going on beneath the surface. And therefore, it makes sense to start with what's going on beneath the surface, because everything else then unravels and opens up. It's no accident that last year, 2023, was the best year that I've had in business ever, because I've done this work. And I feel like I'm a totally different person because of the process. My word of the year last year was wealth. I decided that I was going to really look at the whole money side of things, because money, again, is a tangible reflection of your self-worth. And it would be no great surprise that up until that point, I'd not really made a success of anything because I was sabotaging my growth. But I decided to launch something on the 8th of August on Lionsgate, because the energy was very powerful, called Money Manifester. Oh my goodness. Now that was the story. These are all details that'll go in book number 2. I have a friend who's a really powerful energy healer. In fact, she taught me my Reiki. And she sent me a message that morning and she said, I don't know what you're doing today. She said, but Mary Magdalene's coming through and she wants to send you some healing. I'm like, what? So I went, send it. How amazing. And as I was delivering the talk, I felt like I was a conduit, and all this preparation that I'd done was just flowing out of my mouth. It was so electric and so beautiful. I rang her afterwards and I said, what happened there? That was just off the scale amazing. She said, that's because that's your signature talk. And Mary Magdalene is here to help women step into their power. And every time I mention her name, she like steps in and gives me a really big hug. I can feel her now. It's beautiful. So lovely. So she and I are on a very special journey together. Yes, it is lovely.
I love that. But I love the whole money manifesting thing, because that's kind of been my theme for the last couple of months.
Yeah.
My word for the year is peace.
Nice.
But money manifesting is something that I'm actively working on this year.
Yeah, it's a powerful thing. And what I tend to do when I'm focusing on something is I go all in. And I'm like, right, I'm going gold mining, looking for every single little nugget, with a dedicated journal and the works. So this year, my word of the year is love. I'm looking over there because, to my left-hand side, because I've got a vision board up and the word love is right in the middle of it. So I'm calling in my partner. And of course, it will reflect in every area of my life. I spent Christmas Day on my own this year, and it was really challenging. But it was a lesson that I needed to learn. And that's where my word of the year has come from.
That's amazing. Do you not have any family?
Yeah, I do have family. My children are grown up. They've got their own children, and they were spending it with, my ex-partner and that sort of thing. So it wasn't a purposeful thing. They were just off doing other things. Yeah.
It's hard when they get to that point and they move away. I have 5 children, and 3 of them live local, and 2 of them have grandbabies. We had 2 grandbabies this year.
Oh, me too.
So cool.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
They're so fun.
Oh, I know. I've been to see one of them today. I've got 4 grandchildren, and I've been to see one this afternoon just to fill my heart up with a bit more joy.
It is just like, it's going to make me cry, because when I think about it, it's just like they have so much yummy energy that this, like,
Well, it's
in some way they're
pure.
like puppies.
Yeah, it's pure. It's
Yeah.
unfiltered, isn't it? So
Yeah,
it's like
and
you just need a little fix of that beautiful, unfiltered, don't you? Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and just holding them on your lap or hugging
Oh,
them, it's just like you can feel it. It feels so good.
yeah, absolutely. There's something really precious about them being connected to you energetically too, isn't there, through that bloodline? It's just like, oh yeah, I know, I know. Oh, you could just eat them, couldn't you?
Yeah,
Oh dear.
I love that for you. And
Yeah.
I will hold space in for you to find this perfect love that will come.
Thank you. I think it's no accident. I do genuinely believe that he is on the periphery there and I'm calling him in. I've just started that whole online dating thing. Oh, it's a bit of a minefield, but as Brené Brown says, strong back, warm heart.
And be open to, maybe it's going to show up a different way than you expect.
Yeah, you just never know, do you?
You don't.
If he's there, isn't he?
You can
Yeah.
look for, all the little clues, like you're standing in line and somebody does something nice for you. That's a clue. I call it confirmation bias.
Yeah, yeah, it's
See,
beautiful.
see, it's happening. Some nice man talked to me. He might not be the one, but he might. You never know.
You never know. You never know. Yes, I agree. Yeah, he's on his way.
He is.
Mm,
Have to keep me posted on that.
I will. Yes, I will. Thank you.
We'll
Yeah.
let the listeners know. So you do have an activation meditation that you share with people. You want to talk about that a little bit?
I do. Yes. Thank you for mentioning that. It's something that I developed. Uh, it's like if you're a bit curious about energy and you want to understand how it works, as humans, we're like a great big iceberg, and there's a tiny little bit above the surface that's the stuff that we are aware of. We absorb information in our conscious mind at 22 bits per second, and in our subconscious at 2 million bits per second. That's how vast the bit is that sits beneath the surface. So this activation meditation helps you to connect to what sits beneath the surface. And the best way to use it is when you've got something going on where you're not quite sure what the answer is. The best way that I've discovered how to use it is a piece of paper, just brain dump all the ideas, perhaps for a new business idea or a podcast or whatever it is that you're deciding you're going to do. Plonk it all down on a piece of paper and then listen to the activation. And what that will do is help you to connect to what's sitting beneath the surface. And I promise you, beautiful things will bubble to the surface that you didn't even think about.
Do you suggest doing this in the evening, like before you go to sleep?
Yeah, I think it's probably a good time when your head's not so full and you're sort of relaxing for the evening, because then of course you've got that time, that sleep time, haven't you, to be able to process and digest. And make sure you take a pen and a piece of paper to bed with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a little tiny flashlight if you sleep with a partner.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. At some point in the future. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do people find this activation meditation? Is it just off your website or is it a special spot that I should link to in the show notes?
Yes. I'm going to send you a link for people to be able to download that. You can find me on the socials, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook. It's Frances with an E, so Frances Day. And just ask me for the activation if you don't have access to it, and I'll forward it on to you.
Perfect. Perfect. My grandmother was named Frances. We used to call her Fritzy.
Oh, my grandchildren call me Granny Franny.
I love that.
It's cute, isn't it? When you've got a little 4-year-old saying it, trying to get their teeth around that whole thing, it's very delightful.
They're so funny that way. My newest grandson's named Leo, and he has a brother named, well, Lincoln. And when Lincoln, he's like 3, and he's just really learning to formulate words, so he calls him Weo Weo.
Oh,
That
cute.
may be his
That's so
name.
cute. Isn't it funny how they end up with these, that they end up keeping these little names that we can't pronounce when we're young ones. My eldest granddaughter's called Dee Dee, for short, and yeah, her little brother is like Dee Dee, Dee Dee. Yeah, cute, very cute.
It is really cute. I got named Heart Nana by my first granddaughter.
Oh, beautiful. That's so gorgeous.
I love that so much, and my grandkids do call me Heart Nana
Yeah, beautiful.
because they have other nanas.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which is good for them.
Mhm.
So, do you work with people one-on-one, in groups? How does your coaching actually look?
In lots of different ways. So I do something called Wise Women, which is an online group. We meet once a month, and that's a blend of business coaching and energy work. I do the self-worth course, and that happens, I roll it over the year. You can find that on my website. And then one-to-one work too. Yeah.
Perfect. So we'll make sure that we get those links in the show notes. And what's the one thing you hope the audience takes away from our conversation today?
That if you've got a book inside you, go for it. You are capable of so much more than you believe you are. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, take a breath, take a step away from it, and go outside and get and ground yourself for a little 20-minute walk and come back. It's never as bad as you think it is.
Yeah. It gives you time to change your reality. It really is as simple as just changing how you're thinking about it, the story that you're telling yourself around the situation.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, agreed. I think you and I are both see things from a very similar perspective, don't we?
I think so. Thanks, Frances, for joining me. It's been amazing.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the You World Order, or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.